this then does your environment... Two questions for you before we begin. How many people in this audience actually believe in the idea that the way you think has some effect on your life? That your thoughts create your life. You believe that, yes? So how many people here actually woke up this morning and consciously created a future? You know, the biggest reason why people don't do it is because you don't really believe it's true. You see, if you knew on a gut level that it was absolutely true, would you ever miss a day? Come on. And would you ever let any thought slip by your awareness that you didn't want to experience? So your brain, according to neuroscience, is organized to reflect everything you know in your life. Your brain is a record of your environment. It's a record, an artifact of your past. So if you believe this, then does your environment control your thinking, or does your thinking control your environment? So if you wake up in the morning and you get out of bed on the same exact side as you did the day before, you shut the alarm clock off with the same finger, you slip into your favorite slippers, you shuffle into the bathroom and you use the toilet like you always do, then you walk over to the mirror and you look at yourself to remember who you are, then you get into the shower and you wash yourself in the same routine way, then you groom yourself to look like everybody expects you to look, then you go downstairs and you drink coffee out of your favorite mug. Then you drive to work the same way as you did the day before. You see the same people that push the same emotional buttons. You do the exact thing that you know how to do and you memorize and can do so well that you're an expert at. Then you hurry up and rush home so you can hurry up and check your...
Let's go, let's go. Good morning, family. Rise and shine. Another blessed and grateful day. I'm sorry the Wi-Fi was not connecting. It was a struggle getting on here. For those of you that don't know, actually over here in Florida today, we have Hurricane Nicole, right? Literally almost a month later, right after one of the biggest hurricanes to go ahead and ever hit the area. We've got a hurricane category 1. Thankfully it's not directly over here. Praying for those on the other coast, but that is where it's getting hit right now. So I guess we're having a little bit of the effect over here with the Wi-Fi. So apologize for getting on here a little bit late, family, but we are still here, ready to go ahead and give the value. Excited for another day, ready to go ahead and pour into everybody. How was everybody's morning? Everybody start off on a good foot so far, because today we're going to get real intentional on really diving into breaking the habit of being yourself, right? Thinking about all of the same thoughts and rewiring habits that we're so used to normally having, and thinking about how to go ahead and completely shift them into a whole different connection. Let's go. Profitable. Oh yes, we caught some profits today. I love it. I love it. Let's go. What day is everybody on as far as the challenge? We are currently on day 104. 104. Locked in. So proud of you guys. Keep going. I'm telling you, it is so powerful when you take the time for yourself. And you're actually going to learn that from today's training. 142. Let's go. Shane and Selena, you are on a roll. Let's get it. I love it. So what's everybody grateful for today? Super grateful for God, grateful to be alive, grateful for the mind, for the body, for the spirit. Day 94. I see you. So grateful to even be alive. So thankful that we don't have to deal with all of the surges again. I was so afraid that was going to come back this time around. So we definitely learned about the little things last time. So this time, I'm telling you, coming in with a whole different mindset into this next year. So I'm grateful for this storm and repeat. Yes, big facts. Not ready for that at all. Still got tarp waving. I still got things flying off my roof still. So definitely thankful for that. So let's go ahead and get into today, fam. So I prefaced it with a little bit of Joe Dispenza. That's exactly who this training is actually coming from. For those of you that don't know, this is a certified brain expert, neuro encoding expert, right? So this is honestly one of my favorite individuals that I've been able to study over the past handful of years, right? As far as really learning about the brain and how it works and how we can really start breaking what we're normally used to thinking as far as patterns go. So let's go ahead and get into it. Ready for the topic today. This is something that I've never forgot once I really started learning about it. So here we go, family, learning about the power of the brain, right? Learning about how we think. So I want to get you guys in a couple of different thinking perspectives today, okay? So how many, just like he was talking about, if we understand, right, that the way we believe has an influence on our life. Just even think about that for a second. Let me ask you that question. Do you believe that? Do you believe that the way we think has an influence on our life, right? Both positive and negatively, okay? All right, so you believe that. So let me ask you this then. How many actually wake up and consciously create their future? Right before we're even getting up, we have a 10-minute visualization that we love to play to really start getting in mode, start painting that picture in 4K. But most of 95%, they don't understand or they don't know because they never really had the access of the power of being able to start the morning on a right foot, right? And the reason why most don't really take the time to consciously really create a future in the morning is really simple. How Joe talks about it. He says the only reason why most don't do it is because they don't believe that it's actually possible. They don't believe that that can truly come to fruition inside of their life. Why? Because our brain is an artifact of the past. It's built to remember all of these different things that's happened, both positive and negative. But the problem is we tend to have the negative ones stick out a little bit more than what we've actually accomplished. That's why, when Sean, in the first 12 weeks of the training that we got, in the mastermind, we had to write 500 things that we've done, that we've accomplished inside of our life. And I remember everybody's reaction. Everybody's like, well, I can think of 30. I can maybe think of 50. But if we would have said 1,000 negative things, we could go down the line and list them all out right in a row. So it's all about really being able to just rewire how it is that we're so normally used to thinking. Because here's what I know. Most of us, we repeat the same patterns. Gene, what's going on? Azri, what's up, brother? We repeat the same patterns, the same habits all day long. If you don't believe me, we talk about it a lot, but let's think about it. Did you wash yourself today in the same mannerisms that you did yesterday? Did we brush our teeth with the same hand? Did we take the same routes to work? Did we have the same similar conversations with the same similar people that possibly might push our buttons? Right? The buttons that got pushed this week, was it the same as the similar ones that got pushed last week? Start asking this question, because when I started doing that, I started to realize the patterns. Everybody has patterns. Humans are habitual creatures, right? That's how we're designed. But if we can start to really correlate these patterns into ones that are growth instead of ones that are bringing us down, this is where it starts to really happen. So here's the difference, okay? If we're thinking the same thoughts that produce the same experiences, but we're waiting for something to change, this is the other definition of insanity, kind of like doing the same thing and expecting something different. So watch this. As we see the same people, as we experience the same external environment, as it makes us think equal to everything that's familiar, watch what happens. We keep creating more of the same. This is why so many end up waking up frustrated, aggravated, and agitated, because they're living the same thoughts, the same pattern frequencies, going back to the same negativity that we're so used to thinking. So how does this change? What is the tactical step? The only way to truly change, and if you really pay attention to the greats, is to be able to think greater than our environment. Is to be able to think greater than our environment. What do I mean by that? Here's a perfect example. So for us over here in Florida, we actually just went through a hurricane. So you guys can see, right, everything was pretty much, demolished. everything, on the outside got pretty disrupted. So what's the difference? Being able to have a vision, being able to see everything come back clear and prettier and better before. So this is the hardest part. And when you look at any of the greatest that have ever walked, we can look at Gandhi, we can look at MLK, we can look at the Bright Brothers, we can look at Rosa Parks, we can look at anybody who's done something at a very deep level. And here was the truth. Every one of them, they had to think greater their environment. Like, look at MLK. Look at where he was at when he created this massive movement with only a handful of people. So tell me somebody that was great that it didn't end up being produced just like such. Okay? They had to be able to think greater than the current position that they're in. This is why they say, without a vision, the what? It's written in the Bible. Without a vision, the people perish. So it's so important to have a driving vision. When I was living in my car, 30K in debt, I had so many things going on. It was like Murphy's Law, right? You ever felt like it was just one one knife after the next, just throwing right in your back. You're just like, oh, I can't even get a break. That's literally what was going on. But I knew the power, just like the book is called Think and Grow Rich, to be able to think greater than what it is that we're experiencing externally, even physically, right now. Okay, we've got to be able to think bigger than what it is that our senses are feeling. This is why when you really study the 1%, it sounds like hippie hoorah when others talk about it, when they listen to it, because they don't understand. But it really takes being able to dig deeper and feel more than just our five senses, being able to see past our five senses. I was listening to an audio yesterday, and it was talking about there's two types of people. Somebody that has sight, right? Obviously, we all know the typical one. Someone that has sight, no one, people have sight but no vision. But many have sight, but very few have insight. And this is one of the first steps it comes to really changing the rewiring that we have in our brain. The only way to start changing these connections is by really learning new information, by listening to new material. This is why it's so important, by actually taking the time to think. This is why every day inside of the morning routine, we have a couple of these things that we throw inside of the soup to really create this concoction. The journaling, the meditation, the visualization, right? Taking time to actually be still and get conscious and think about what it is that we want. Who do we want to become? What type of service would we like to go out and bring out into the world today? All of these things play a massive role, but it takes time to really think. This is why they say our personal reality ends up creating our personality. Our personality ends up creating our personal reality. So think about it like this. Many want their personal reality to change without changing the personality. And I've been there. I've been the type of person to say, oh, those books are cool, but I don't really want to pick them up. Why would I ever take the time to journal? That seems stupid. I don't need to go ahead and write things down. I wrote enough in school. Well, here's the truth. I was waiting for my personal reality to change, but I never took the time to do the inner work. This is why I tell you guys to really reach what it is that you envision. It's going to take the deep work. We can't scratch this at a surface level and really expect the personal reality to change. It starts from within. That's why for you that are taking the time on your challenge, whether it's 94 days, whether it's 146, whether you're even starting back to scratch, even if you miss 2 days, that's okay. Just understand that you are taking the necessary steps that is required to really get to levels that we all envision, that we all dream of, right? So here's how I want to go ahead and end it with a couple of different things to give you guys to think about, okay? This is how the brain works scientifically, right? To actually really dig deep with it, okay? Nerve cells that fire together, okay, wire together. This is why we have patterns. This is why we're creatures of habit, because we end up firing the same cells that end up wiring together, and we end up creating this box thinking, right? When we see change, when we see something new, none of us want to actually go ahead and take the step for the most part because we're so used to our box that we've created, okay? So I want you to understand it at a little bit deeper of a level. Every thought, okay? Every thought that we think literally puts out a chemical inside of our brain. So to change our mind is literally to just allow it to fire and wire a little bit differently. That's all we're doing. This is why new information, every time that we get new information, guess what? The cells are firing and wiring differently. And when we do this enough, you're going to understand why the brain is called mind and why it's called remind. Okay? So watch this. Every thought that we think creates a chemical. So whether that be joy, happiness, guilt, shame, anger, every single time. So think about the 60,000 thoughts that we think a day. Think about all these thoughts, and if 80% of them are negative, if our thoughts produce a chemical and chemicals produce feelings, why do you think so many have headaches all day long? Why do you think so many have back pain? Why do you think so many people have pain in their chest or their lower back? Because the thoughts that we think cause feelings inside of the body. I'll give you an example right now if you don't believe me. You ready? I want you to imagine, if you're not a snake person, I want you to imagine a big old snake around your neck. How does that make you feel? Does that give you the heebie-jeebies? How about if I were to lay you down on your bed and I dumped 100 cockroaches right on your face? You felt them all just crawling all over your face, just nice and sticky legs. You just felt really weird. You got butterflies in your stomach. So I just proved to you how thoughts can drive feelings, literally physical feelings. I'll give you another example. I want you to imagine yourself on stage and you have thousands of people screaming your name and congratulating you for the impact that you've made, for the testimonies that you've been able to create, and for how powerful your story is, because it's opened doors for countless lives to go ahead and step into their highest version of themselves. How good does that feel? Can you feel the light? Can you feel a little bit uplifted just from hearing that? That's because I literally just sent chemicals inside of your brain, triggering joy, triggering happiness. So this is why monks, they pray all throughout the day, because they're being conscious and they understand. They might not understand at a conscious level like this, but they understand the power of being able to control our thoughts. We can't control what happens externally, but we can control what happens right here, what we allow inside of our gate. So I've got 4 more things I want you guys to think about before I end this off today, okay? State of being. This is very important to understand, okay? Let's break down what is actually a state of being, okay? State of being is the thoughts, languages of the brain. So the thoughts are the language of the brain. The feelings are the language of the body. So if the thoughts are the language of the brain and the feelings are the languages of the body, over time we condition the body to memorize that emotion. That's why so many people, you see, they seem like they're angry, they seem like they're depressed all the time, because they've become conditioned to a specific state of being. 95% of who we are by the time we're 35 is literally nothing but a conditioned set of patterns, habits, and thoughts that we've been able to literally create into our own box, whatever that may look like, but that's the truth. So the quantum world, okay, this is probably one of the most important parts of the whole training today. The quantum world responds to our state of being. Our state of being. So if we're in a constant state of lack, or if we're in a constant state of if I can't do it, because remember, the mind is very simple. Okay, all the mind is essentially is the brain firing and wiring in a certain way. So when we remind ourselves, we're essentially reminding ourselves of the old self on who we used to be most of the time. That's what we're normally used to doing. So when we can go ahead and shift that to go ahead and actually create new memories, because I don't know if you guys know this, every time that we think, that we visualize, it could be you walking on the beach, it could be you on stage, just like we just did with thousands of people clapping for you. You just encoded a memory inside of your brain. So the more we visualize, the more that we fire and wire these synaptic connections, the more you're going to start being able to control your emotions, how you feel, your actions that we take, the results that we get, and what it is that we produce. So this is where it all starts. So the hardest part about all of this right here, the hardest part, right, most of the time, because most of the time we wait until trauma to go ahead and start changing our mind, right? The mind is a similar set of patterns and memories and structures, but we wait to a certain trauma to go ahead and change our mind, to start making new fire and wiring connections. So here's the truth. We have 2 ways that we can do this. We can wait till trauma and something tragic to go ahead and happen in life, which is how most people end up doing, to go ahead and change their mind till they said, I had a heart attack. Let me go ahead and start hating the gym. Let me actually start finally eating better. That's when most people, most of the time, really start making the craziest changes in their life. Maybe they got in a car crash and they stopped drinking, okay, because they got a DUI and they've been on probation for multiple years. That's how most of the time people wait to make a change in their life. So we can wait for something traumatic, or we can actually make a change in joy and bliss right now. This is the beautiful part of life. But I don't want most to go ahead and wait until that time happens, because that was me. I waited until my sister passed away from cancer for me to really go out and get what I knew that I deserved. To go out and take the time to really take myself seriously, to give myself that self-love. Because the hardest part about all of this right here is taking the time for us, taking the time for your precious self. And when you can do that, you open up the valve of this question. Are you ready for the love? Are you ready for all the love to pour into you? The countless messages thanking you for your impact. The countless people come up to you thanking you for your story, for how much impact you've been able to leave, for how much you've been able to actually inspire them, for the change of mind you've been able to shift in their thinking, for the habits and rituals you've been able to shift for them to now allow them a better life for themselves. Because you took the time to pour into yourself, to allow the overflow to then go ahead and go into other people. So family, this is my training for you guys today. And if nobody told you today, you are powerful, you are amazing, and you do have the habit, you do have the ability to break the habit of being your old self. Today can be the day. 11/32, November, where are we at? November 10th, that you draw the line in the sand and say, today is the day that I no longer am limiting myself to the box thinking, where I'm able to go ahead and fire new cells, to go ahead and fire and rewire to change my mind for the better. So family, I see you taking the time. I see you putting the time to your journaling, getting on the Go Live sessions, getting in and using the products, actually profiting. This is literally what you've been doing. You're changing the firing, you're getting results. And I'm telling you right now, you are opening doors for others to go ahead and be able to do the same, because you were the one to lead by example. So family, I love you. I appreciate you. If you got any value from today, go ahead and smash that like button, drop some 7s down below. I'm so excited for what is to come. November truly is a month to remember, and we are just getting started. It is your favorite entrepreneur, Define Dreams, family. We're feeling good. Remember, you can be, do, or have anything you can hold in your mind. You can hold it.
Dragonfly out in the sun.
Love you, family.
You
You're
know
smart.
what
You
I
already know.
mean, don't you know? Butterflies all having fun. You know what I mean. Sleep in peace when day is done. That's what I mean. And this whole world is a new world and a full world.